Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to unpack a massive shift happening right now in medicine, the promise and the peril of ambient voice technology in healthcare. If you follow health tech at all, you know this is rapidly transitioning from a fringe innovation into core digital infrastructure. And today we're going to look at the data to understand exactly why that's happening.
Picture this for a second. What if your doctor never touched a keyboard during your visit? Imagine a clinical consultation completely free of screen distractions. No furious clicking, no typing, no divided attention. Just you and your doctor actually talking face to face. That is the very real promise we're exploring today. It takes aim directly at one of the most persistent, exhausting inefficiencies in modern healthcare, that crushing administrative burden of documentation. But, as we'll see, removing the keyboard doesn't necessarily mean removing the work.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The AI healthcare scribe, 2. Reclaiming clinician time, 3. Hidden risks and cognitive shifts, 4. Global perspectives on adoption, and 5. The path to governed acceleration. Let's dive right in. Section 1. The AI healthcare scribe. What exactly is AVT?
To really get this, we need to understand how the tech functions inside the exam room. Ambient voice technology, or AVT, is often referred to as an AI scribe. It takes advanced speech recognition, pairs it with large language models, and uses that combo to turn raw, everyday conversations into highly structured clinical notes, referral letters, and coded data entries. And the key word here is passively. The system just runs quietly in the background. It listens to the natural flow of the consultation, synthesizing all that medical data in near real time so it can be integrated straight into the electronic patient record.
So here is how this actually plays out in practice. Step 1. The clinician initiates the tool and gets the patient's consent. Step 2, the AI processes that audio into a draft, but pay close attention to Step 3, because this is where the magic and, honestly, the heavy responsibility lies. The clinician reviews and edits. Crucially, this is a human-in-the-loop model. The AI simply drafts a note. It absolutely does not replace clinical judgment. The clinician has to carefully review and validate the output before it becomes an official entry in Step 4. So the cognitive effort hasn't disappeared, right? It's just shifted from real-time note-taking to a post-visit review. Moving on to Section 2. Reclaiming clinician time and the immediate benefits. Why are hospitals literally rushing to adopt this at breakneck speed? Well, the evidence strongly shows that by getting rid of the keyboard, clinicians reclaim massive amounts of time. Studies are consistently reporting a big reduction in time spent dictating or typing, which directly shrinks those massive administrative backlogs. But perhaps even more importantly, there's a much lower cognitive load during the actual visit. Doctors aren't trying to juggle listening, diagnosing, and typing all at the exact same time. The data points to significant short-term reductions in clinician burnout, which is a huge win for workforce sustainability. And for the patient, it restores a deeply human eye-to-eye connection. You get better communication and a much stronger therapeutic relationship simply because your doctor is actually looking at you, not a glowing screen. But it's not all smooth sailing. Section 3. Hidden risks and cognitive shifts. Let's look at the cognitive cost. Introducing generative AI into a high-stakes clinical environment brings non-trivial risks that we absolutely have to examine. There's a subtle but really profound danger here. Think about traditional real-time documentation. Normally, a doctor's notes act as a cognitive tool. They develop personal shorthand, they emphasize key points, they convey uncertainty, and all of that helps them remember the specifics of a case later. But with AVT, we see a downstream cognitive load introduced by the AI. Remember, this tech doesn't eliminate work, it redistributes it. When an AI generates a super polished, highly structured narrative, it might not actually be in the doctor's authentic voice. This means when that doctor, or maybe another clinician, reviews the patient's record months later, they might actually have to expend more mental effort to reconstruct the original clinical reasoning from a templated, dense AI summary. Furthermore, we have to impartially weigh some broader critical risks. First up, accuracy. The evidence suggests that AI omissions are the most common error, but AI hallucinations, where the system invents a plausible but entirely false clinical detail, can be incredibly dangerous. Second is privacy. We're talking about recording highly sensitive medical disclosures. If a patient knows a machine is listening in, will they hold back critical information? Third, cybersecurity. Sending all this data to cloud platforms and third-party suppliers massively expands the attack surface. Fourth, bias. Speech recognition models can have varying error rates depending on a patient's accent, dialect, or demographic. And finally, medical legal issues. If a mistake makes it into the final record, the liability still falls entirely on the clinician. Plus, the rules around retaining those original audio recordings, they remain pretty murky at best. So how is the world handling all this? Section 4, Global Perspectives on Adoption. Given these dual identities, an incredible efficiency tool on one hand and a safety-critical system fraught with risk on the other, how are different countries reacting? It is fascinating to see the contrast. In the United States, the approach is highly market-driven. Large health systems are leading the charge and generating great real-world evidence, but they're operating under pretty fragmented regulations like HIPAA and FDA oversight. Over in the UK, the approach is much more system-level. The NHS is actively guiding the adoption, balancing the desire to scale with incredibly strict clinical safety and information governance, using specific national frameworks. And then look at the European Union. They are taking a deeply precautionary, regulation-led approach via the AI Act. Certain healthcare AI applications are classified as high risk, meaning stringent requirements for transparency and risk management have to be met before they even hit the market.
Which brings us to Section 5, Path to Governed Acceleration, the path forward.
So what is the path forward for healthcare leaders who are trying to navigate these differing viewpoints and manage all these risks? The crucial takeaway is that a blanket, unsupervised rollout is highly risky. The answer, according to the research, is what's called governed acceleration. Basically, this means scaling the technology where it provides undeniable value, but only when it's matched with ironclad safety checks. Systems have to define strict boundaries to prevent function creep. They must complete safety assurance before deployment. They need to ensure absolute patient transparency with really clear, easy opt-out mechanisms. Above all, they have to maintain that strict human-in-the-loop oversight with continuous training for clinicians. And they need to constantly evaluate not just the efficiency gains, but the accuracy, the equity, and that downstream cognitive impact we talked about earlier. Which leaves us with this incredibly powerful quote from the source material. If implemented poorly, it risks introducing new forms of complexity and cognitive burden that offset its gains. The difference lies not in the technology itself, but in how it is deployed, governed, and understood. Ultimately, will ambient voice technology cure doctor burnout and revolutionize patient care? Or is it just going to create a totally new kind of mental fatigue masked as innovation? Well, that depends entirely on us and how carefully we choose to govern the future of healthcare.